Well, folks, here we again for the weekly forecast. The university is shut down for the Thanksgiving holiday, so I thought this would be an appropriate time for us to bring you an update on the current El Nino event and where we kind of see things progressing as we go through the winter period as the official forecasts for CPC have been released. Now, it doesn't mean that this is necessarily going to be the trends that we're going to show you, but overall we are looking at a fairly significant event. In fact, by any account, the first strongest event since 1951 records were officially taking. We do know that there are some guidelines that we use for El Ninos and in terms of the probabilities across the central and southern United States, so I thought you'd bring you up to date on those. So let's take a look at this El Nino event as it's progressed, and this is our current picture of the sea surface temperature deviations. And this core area right here that we're looking at for the El Nino signature, we're running about 5 to 7 degrees above normal in terms of temperatures. In Celsius, running about 2 to 3 degrees for the entire basin above normal. Within individual pockets, we're approaching about 3 degrees Celsius above normal. Now, I'll draw your attention up to the Gulf of Alaska because this is very important. This was the area the last couple of years where we have seen a orange blob, or what everybody is considered to call the blob, where we had a large area of above normal temperatures, and that was creating a ridge in the upper atmosphere that was blocking the movement of moisture into California and is responsible for some of the intensification throughout the last 2 years. What we have seen is this blob has disappeared, and we're starting to see a signature of below normal sea surface temperatures, and eventually with the currents, some of that colder than normal water will start to move its way along the western United States Gulf or coast and region and move down toward the equatorial region, and that just helps shrink this. In fact, the Bureau of Meteorology from Australia is indicating that they believe that this will stay in effect pretty much through the spring period before we start to see the dissipation into the summer. So with that in thought, we do know that there are some statistics that we see that are pretty strong across the country. The first one I'll draw your attention to is that we see warmer than normal conditions, not only in December, and this is our projection for this December from CPC, mostly centered over the Great Lakes and the Upper Plains, but we see below normal temperatures, which is a common occurrence across the southern plains as the southern jet begins to become more established. As we go into the precipitation forecast, this is a typical El Nino signal with above normal precipitation, essentially from the desert southwest eastward into the southeast and then moving up the eastern seaboard with below normal precipitation over the northern Rockies and the Great Lakes region. Now, if we go to the 3-month forecast, it takes us December through February, we see the same trend, above normal temperatures, below normal to our south, and in terms of precipitation, we see a very strong signal for above normal precipitation from southern California eastward into western Texas, and a weaker chance for above normal precipitation going all the way up in through Nebraska with that signature for below normal precipitation over the Great Lakes and the Pacific Northwest. So when we look at the snowfall, the one thing we'll notice is that there is a below normal snowfall signature in the upper Great Lakes, and some of that extends into the northern plains, with the southwestern part of the state showing a slight increase in above normal snowfall. More importantly, February through March and April, we see a strong signal for above normal snowfall across southern Nebraska, southwest, and the panhandle of Nebraska. So stay tuned, it could get interesting this winter.